This is the Grim Gazette, issue number 9. So happy you're here to join us for the weird news that is striking my fancy. My name is T. You can call me TT Monster or Twitch Dad. The weird news can cover a lot of stuff, even stuff beyond the paranormal and UFOs and cryptids and things like that. But that is what we specialize in because, yes, I am one of the 2 founders of Old Spirits Investigation. As you can see by this by this particular video screen, yes, we do have a special weekend coming up. I'm going to see if I can't point at the right way. Yeah, there it is, right there. We have a weekend coming up, an entire weekend of paranormal stuff. On the 12th, we are going to be talking about the season 3 premiere of Old Spirits. That's OSI, Old Spirits Investigations. We come in and we're taking you to Charleston, South Carolina. And then the next day, on the 13th, we will be in Clifton Forge, Virginia, live from Clifton Forge, Virginia. And we'll be taking a look at the old Masonic Theater, which I've seen the still shots from, and it looks absolutely breathtaking. And then finally on the 14th, I come home. We all come home. But we all come home, and then I sit down with you all on YouTube and Twitch, and we talk about the entire weekend. What did you like? What did you not like? What could we have done better? That sort of thing. And I got to say, this secondhand in chat has kind of called it. Honestly, I feel like we do need to cover current events for this Grim Gazette. Live updates, search underway after major bridge collapse in Baltimore. And that's how you're supposed to pronounce it, Baltimore. Not Baltimore, not Baltimore, Baltimore. So for those of you who are not watching this live, this is being filmed the day of the shocking video, and that's the only way I can describe it. Absolutely shocking video of the Francis Scott Key Bridge collapsing when a container ship lost power and rammed into the bridge early Tuesday, sending vehicles plunging into the water. Now, how does this fall under the Grim Gazette? Well, all day I've been hearing people talk about cyber attacks. Cyber attack, cyber attack, cyber attack, cyber attack. This was not a cyber attack. Okay? These container ships are not state of the art. Okay? Yeah, they've got upgrades. Yeah, they're big, and yeah, they're still mechanical marvels, but these things are not what I would call, cutting edge Internet of Things. I'd be amazed if they had an Apple IIe on one of these things. But the cargo ship, as Secondhand said in chat, the cargo ship lost power twice before pulling into the harbor. So already this thing was on the blink, but they had a schedule to keep. So the collapse has caused the cargo ship, which is called the Dolly, reported losing power just before it struck a column on the bridge. And here's the moment where the bridge collapsed. So I believe the pylon that it strikes is this pylon here. If it's not this pylon, it's this pylon over here. Now, the traffic up here is 695, not to be confused with 95. 95 is the main throughway, and that's the one that goes by Raven Stadium and all that. In fact, I think here's the ship. Yeah, this is the ship right here. Now, you'll notice something. One, ship's not moving that fast. And I think if you keep your eyes on the ship, here, you'll actually see that the lights do blink out. Because the one I saw today, it was a time lapse. And the time lapse was fascinating because you actually see the lights blink out, come back on, blink out, come back on. I mean, it is a suspension bridge. That's the thing. It is a suspension bridge of its day, a suspension bridge of the 70s. And the good news is, well, big quotes around good. See, okay, there you go. Hold on. this is where the lights went out. And you'll see it's just dark. Now, the thing to know about these type of ships, and I only know this because I'm a bit of a nautical nerd, is that these things are not built for speed. They're not moving fast until they get into the open water. But just pushing something that big, even at the slow speed that it's going, it's got a lot of mass. And here's where science kicks in. It wasn't necessarily the speed at what it hit at where it hit the pylon. It was basically the control and the momentum. And physics takes over, and it's just a large mass just going bam right into that pylon. So the other thing too to take note about the bridge, you'll notice that even at 1:30, it's pseudo busy. It's because over here they were actually doing maintenance on it, so most of the bridge was closed this night. So here we are. The ship is coming out, and as you see, boom, the lights go out. And for what looks like way too long, that boat is moving. And I'll tell you something too about this boat. That boat isn't necessarily sailing, it's drifting. Because when everything cuts off like that, everything cuts off. Right now, that boat is being carried by the current and momentum. And you'll see the lights flicker on again. And the thing is, I don't know what these guys could have done. Because once they were free of the harbor and they were just coming out, hey, Pustak, and they were coming out, when they lost power, it's not like they can manually turn it or drop anchor or something like that. Ships don't work that way. And I think by the time they did restore power, and there's its first attempt to store power, they're too close to that. They're going to hit. They are just going to hit. And the other thing to know about these types of cargo ships, they don't turn on a dime. Even if he throws the wheel all the way to one point, all the way to one side, it's nothing can avoid it. And that's one thing you see there. We're about to have the moment of impact. But I want you to notice, if you look at the angle of the ship, you see from the side. You see from the side. And when the power comes on, you can see they're trying desperately to turn that ship. But I mean, that cargo ship is not gonna. It's too close. It's too close. And you notice it doesn't really start turning until the power comes back on.
This is great. Anyone want a hug? No hugs.
Yeah. You're pretty much on a floating plank. A floating plank that's got tons of crap on it. And it's a great way to look at this is this is physics at work. As awful as that sounds, this is physics at work. And this is why when I see people in their 4x4s tearing through snow like they're like they got not a care in the world, I'm like, look, I don't care if you're driving a Subaru Outback with with 8-wheel drive. It's your speed that's the problem, because you're driving 30, 40 miles an hour on ice. When you slam on your brakes, momentum's going to take over, and then you're going to get a lesson harder than you're going to get a physics lesson harder than Neil deGrasse Tyson in your driver's seat. Okay. Not even why not call for help earlier if it's true, because I haven't read anything about them losing power while they were in the harbor or when they were coming into the harbor. No one should have cleared them to leave. If they were having issues with power, no one should have cleared them to leave. But again, and I get it. This is part of the supply chain, and they've got deadlines. They're trying to meet the deadlines. They got to keep everything moving. Because if anything goes foobar, it's going to cost everybody money, And well, anyway. So you see, it's not even moving that fast. It may like Secondhand said, it may be moving 20 miles an hour. Roughly what you would you might actually be on a 10 speed, casually riding on a 10 speed at 20 miles an hour. And this guy's got nowhere. There's nothing he can do at this point. And I realize this may not be the most exciting footage, but it's that anticipation of, because the power goes out again. And if it was happening that frequently, if it was happening that frequently when they were coming into the harbor, there was no business for them leaving that harbor. There was no business whatsoever. They needed to have that locked down. And why the engineer didn't say, look, it's not safe. It's not safe. And you see, they're in trouble. When the power went out the second time, they're in serious trouble. No, they weren't coming into the harbor. That's the harbor behind them. If I know my geography, that's the harbor behind them. But I'll read the story. Now, Pustak, if you don't know what you're watching here, or you didn't hear the news on it, you're about to see what happened. And the other thing too to keep in mind, since these cargo ships don't stop on a dime, I mean, when the power came back on the second time, I mean, there was absolutely nothing this guy could do. Because it was, And I think the point of impact is coming up like in a matter of seconds. And when I saw it this morning on my phone, I said, this has got to be some type of AI fakery. That couldn't have just happened. And I instantly went to Google, double checked and said, oh, wow, that happened. See, now you got the problem with depth perception, but I'm also casually looking at the bridge above it, and I'm just like, the people who were on the bridge, they had no idea that this was coming. And you see that point of impact right there. You see that point of impact. You see how hard it hits the pylon. Someone in the Doug Discord mentioned it, but I didn't know much other than a bridge collapsed. No, it didn't collapse. It did not collapse. It was basically brought down by this impact. So you'll see how hard it hits when you see the water splash against this pylon. And it's within seconds. Hits the bridge. 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000, 4 1,000, 5 seconds. Even if people saw on the bridge that there was going to be an issue, they couldn't have done a thing. They could not have done a thing. And that, but again, I mean, for them to lose power like that twice after leaving the harbor, that right there is gonna raise a lot of eyebrows. It's gonna raise a lot of eyebrows. And the last time I checked, there are still 20 people missing. It could have been a lot worse. It could have been the Point Pleasant incident that happened around Christmas Eve, the one that the film The Mothman Prophecies is kind of written around. It could have been that. Thank God it wasn't. But yeah, that's pretty amazing right there. So, whoops. I'm just going to pause that. All right, so here's the story. Collapse caused the cargo ship, which is called the Dolly, reported losing power just before it struck a column on the bridge, but it loses it twice. Watch the moment the bridge collapsed. Search ongoing. Rescuers are still searching for 6 construction workers presumed dead by their employer who were working on the bridge at the time of the collapse. One person is still being treated at a nearby hospital. The bridge location is part of I-65, once spanned the Patapsco, that's what it was, the Patapsco River, a vital artery that, along with the Port of Baltimore, is a hub for shipping on the East Coast. A supply chain manager said to expect goods shortages in the coming days. So basically, it was leaving the harbor, and it just, yeah. Trade Association director said ship's pilot tried to slow down. Clay Diamond, executive director of the American Pilots Association, said he had been in close contact with officials from the Association of Maryland Pilots, who described to him what happened as the ship approached the bridge. He said when the ship was a few minutes out, it lost all power, including to its engines. Pilot immediately ordered the rudder hard to port to keep the ship from turning right and ordered the port anchor be dropped, which it was, Diamond said. The pilot also contacted a dispatch office to get the bridge shut down. Diamond said widely circulated images show the ship's light turning off and then back on, sparking questions about whether the vessel had regained power. But he said the emergency generators that kicked in turned the lights back on, but not for the ship's propulsion. Every foreign flag ship coming into the U.S. waters must have a state-licensed pilot on board. Pilots board the ship before they enter the local waterways and take navigational control of the ship, he said, meaning they give orders for the ship's speed and direction. These are among the most highly trained mariners in the world, Diamond said. The stunning collapse of Baltimore's Francis Scott Key Bridge is diverting shipping and trucking around one of the busiest ports on America's East Coast, creating delays and raising costs in the latest disruption to global supply chains. After the dolly hit the bridge and brought it down early Tuesday, ship traffic entering and leaving Port of Baltimore was suspended indefinitely. That will require rerouting vessels or their cargo to other ports, potentially causing congestion and delays for importers, said Judah Levin, head for the research for the global freight booking platform Freightos. Aside from the obvious tragedy, this incident will have significant and long-lasting impacts on the region. American Trucking Association spokesperson Jessica Gale said, calling Key Bridge and Baltimore's port critical components of the nation's infrastructure. 1.3 million trucks cross that bridge every year, 3,600 a day. Trucks that carry hazardous material will have to make 30 miles of detours around Baltimore because they are prohibited from using the city tunnels, adding delays and increasing fuel costs. Buttigieg was on this. Man, my Twitter feed, when I went to Twitter, I saw the clip. Right underneath it was Buttigieg, and he was on top of it. He was on top of it. And again, it's awful that this happened. It is awful that we have people that have beyond the mishap with the ship itself. But the fact that it lost power like that, and then the emergency generators kick in and then kick off again, it just, wow. That was a problem. Now, I'm not seeing where they had reported having issues with their generator or their power when they were coming into port. But I cannot imagine. I cannot imagine what the families are going through. Colleagues said missing construction workers were on a break when the bridge collapsed. A fellow construction company employee said he was told his missing co-workers were on a break. Some were sitting in their trucks when the Baltimore bridge collapsed early Tuesday after being struck by a container ship. And I have a lot of friends from the Baltimore area. One of them is actually out in L.A. and he's a filmmaker. And he actually showed one of his student films, or I guess one of the projects that he did, one of his indie films. And there's the Francis Scott Key Bridge right there. It's just stunning. But when people say, "Oh, it could have been a cyber attack," yeah, it could have been. But I mean, that would have been one incredible cyber attack, because again, these ships, Now, do they have proper security against cyber attacks? Probably not. But it's like, I mean, I've seen some of the technology involved for these ships. It's not the cutting edge stuff. It's like George R. R. Martin and his insistence on using WordStar. They have specialists that come into these ships. You know what I mean? Could have also been the ship didn't pass inspection, but the company decided to pay off someone to kill, to still keep it anyways. It could have been that. It could have been that they said, yeah, this is passable. It's passable. That's another thing that could have happened. So, yeah, heck of a way to start a day. Let's go ahead and let's lighten things up a bit. But the main reason I wanted to talk about this on the Grim Gazette was to make it clear that this was nothing. This was just a tragedy. And what's fascinating to watch is that it's cruising. The ship is just cruising along, seemingly fine, and then the ship just goes dark. And that is not. But I wanted to make sure this was not a cyber attack. It was literally they lost power. Had it been a cyber attack, I think we would have seen much worse damage, like the entire harbor shut down or something along those lines. And, you're talking about airplane makers, Boeing just lost 3 of their execs who said, yeah, I think we're done here. We've done we've done the Lord's work. Let's move on. So let's lighten things up a bit. Let's lighten it up a bit. California police asked to stop using Lego heads to disguise suspects. Here we go. Now it feels like a Grim Gazette. Now it feels like a Grim Gazette. Okay. Here you go. Exactly, secondhand. Exactly. But yeah. California police asked by Lego, please stop doing this. The California Police Department said it will need a new way to disguise the face of suspects in photos posted to social media after Lego asked the department to stop using its intellectual property. The Murrieta Police Department had been using various images, including emoji faces and characters from The Grinch, Shrek, and Barbie, to cover the faces of suspects in mugshots and other photos posted to social media for a couple of years. And this year, California adopted a statewide law prohibiting police from sharing photos of suspects in nonviolent crimes. The Murrieta Police Department prides itself in its transparency with the community, but also honors everyone's rights and protections afforded by the law, even suspects. The department said in a social media post, in order to share what is happening in Murrieta, we chose to cover the faces of suspects to protect their identity while still aligning with the new law. In recent weeks, the department has made a practice of using images depicting the heads of Lego minifigs to block out the faces of suspects in social media posts. And if you missed that, this was what they were doing. Which I think is absolutely freaking amazing. Lieutenant Jeremy Durant said that this particular practice has now come to an end. The Lego group reached out to us and respectfully asked us to refrain from using their intellectual property in our social media content, which of course we understand and will comply with because, using someone else's IP without permission, that's against the law. Durant said in a statement provided to the Murrieta Patch, we are currently exploring other methods of publishing our content in a way that is engaging and interesting to our followers. Lego totally missing great opportunity to use their police prison crime Legos to do a meme thing on them. That would have been brilliant. Someone should have, someone have said, well, wait, before we give them a cease and desist, hold on a second. Hold on a second. Now, I did say that the Grim Gazette is about news of the weird. And quite honestly, for this happening in Baltimore, I mean, it's more shocking than weird. I want to give you all a quick trigger warning because there is a depiction of of people being taken advantage of in a not so nice, little too intimate sort of way coming up. But yeah, Sean Diddy Combs' properties were part of a federal search as part of a sex trafficking. Let's try that again. Fed searched Sean Diddy Combs' properties as part of sex trafficking probe, AP sources say. Yeah. New York. 2 properties belonging to music mogul Sean Diddy Combs in Los Angeles and Miami were searched Monday by federal Homeland Security investigation agents and other law enforcement as part of an ongoing sex trafficking investigation by federal authorities in New York, 2 law enforcement officials told the Associated Press. It's not clear whether Combs was the target of the investigation. The officials were not authorized to publicly discuss details of the investigation and spoke to the AP on condition of anonymity. In a statement, Homeland Security Investigation said it executed law enforcement actions as part of an ongoing investigation with assistance from HSI Los Angeles, HSI Miami, and our own local law enforcement partners. A spokesman for the U.S. Attorney offices in Manhattan declined to comment. Messages to Combs' lawyers and other representatives seeking comment were not immediately returned. A police line was set up around the Los Angeles house in the wealthy Holmby Hills neighborhood near Beverly Hills. Helicopter video from KABC TV showed a group of agents with vests that indicated they were from Homeland Security Investigations gathered in the home's backyard near the pool. A command post was set up outside the house, and agents were still entering and leaving hours after the search began. Now, I'm trying to find out. Let's see. Although Diddy was embroiled in one of the high-profile business disputes for part of 2023, there was a case filed by his former girlfriend and R&B singer Cassie that opened the door to other claims of sexual violence. Combs has vehemently denied the allegations. Who is Diddy? Right, yeah. Combs is among the most influential hip-hop producers, executive of the past 3 decades, built one of the music's biggest empires, blazing a trail with several entities attached to his famous name. He is the founder of Bad Boy Records, 3-time Grammy winner, worked a slew of top-tier artists, including Notorious B.I.G., Mary J. Blige, Usher, Lil' Kim, Faith Evans, and 112. I'm trying to see what sparked the lawsuits. That's not what I'm looking for. Any repercussions from the lawsuit? Nope, can't find it. Basically, what I saw was that apparently Combs has left the country. He is not here, and now this is the New York Post, so I want you to take this with a grain of salt. Diddy and his private jet shrouded in mystery, as both have vanished following a raid of the rapper's home. And this was updated March 26th at 4:30. Okay, so that's not too bad. Diddy has seemingly disappeared, and so has his jet. Around the same time as a raid on his houses in California and Florida on Monday, the rapper and record company mogul was spotted frantically talking on his phone at Opa-locka Airport in Miami. It has since emerged that one of Diddy's employees, Brendan Paul, 25, had just been stopped at the airport and arrested on drug charges by Miami-Dade police. Diddy, also known as Sean Combs, has not been spotted in public since. The rapper's private jet, a Love Air USA LLC-owned Gulfstream with a distinctive all-black paint job, has also suspiciously vanished from public tracking site FlightAware. Diddy was about to board a different private plane in Miami. The final tracked flight by the Love Air jet with tail number N91969C shown it flying from Los Angeles on Monday morning to Antigua, where it touched down that afternoon. It is not clear who was aboard that jet. Photos published by TMZ shows the jet. Photos published by TMZ show the jet still grounded in the Caribbean on Monday night. A message on the website reads, "This aircraft is not available for public tracking per request from the owner-operator." FlightAware spokeswoman Kathleen Bangs told the Miami Herald that it's not unusual for owners to request their flight information be blocked from the site. This is not uncommon, she told the Florida paper. She said it was unknown when Love Air LLC requested the information to be removed from the site, but FlightAware honors the request submitted through the FAA's privacy application procession. Diddy's son, Justin and King Combs, were briefly detained while the raid on the Los Angeles home took place Monday. They were then seen returning to the residence hours later to collect belongings before leaving again. And let's see. So yeah, Diddy is in the wind, and so is his jet. And they were last seen in the Caribbean. So make it that what you will. Make it that what you will. But wow. So pretty sure the FBI can find out. I'm sure any of law enforcement could find out. Because if they're working with the FAA, yeah. But whew, yeah. That's kind of nuts. Okay. Firefighters in New Jersey come to the rescue of a yellow Labrador stuck in a spare tire. Oh, look at that. Look at that good boy. I feel so bad for that good boy. But don't worry. This has a happy ending. Hang on. Spoiler alert, happy ending. Franklinville, New Jersey. Firefighters in southern New Jersey came to the rescue of a dog who got stuck in a spare tire. The Franklinville Volunteer Fire Company crew found Daisy, an 11-month-old yellow Labrador, when they responded to a Franklin Township home last Thursday. 11 months, not even a year old. Her neck was deep in the middle of the tire rim, and the firefighters worked quickly to devise a rescue plan while attempting to keep Daisy calm. Lieutenant Brandon Volpa told the Philadelphia Inquirer that the crew first used dish soap and water, but couldn't free the dog, who was pretty stuck in there. Or I should say was pretty stuck in there. Then they tried vegetable oil. When that didn't work, they put plastic wrap around her neck, hoping the oil and soap would make it slippery enough for her to slide down. When all that failed, Volpe remembered he had plasma cutters used for cutting steel and metal at his home. So the crew put Daisy on a red wagon and headed to Volpe's garage. Volpe recalls the dog panicked a little bit, but a fire blanket was put around her head and neck for protection. Within 5 minutes, Daisy was free. Poor little thing. Now I'm gonna hope. We're gonna play this. I want to see. Probably gonna get an ad. Yeah.
The best time to sell is here. Selling.
Aw. Just the look on Daisy's face. Oh, this poor thing. Oh, poor thing. Hey, see?
That's a first. Don't let the word get out. Thank you.
Aw. Okay.
Of the 72
Okay.
designated-
Okay. And you see that? Dad had his arms around it saying, thank you. Pets, man. Pets. Can you miss any more of the action? If that's the best they hate. I just wanted to make sure that we got footage of the doggo freed. That's the main thing. Okay. Now, this is a shout out to our girl Panic. I don't know if Panic is still with us. I know she was briefly in here, feeling a little nervous and a wee bit excited. We've been excited about tomorrow. So, Panic, this story is dedicated to you. Watch curious bears take a ride on a swan boat. Bears on a swan boat. Here we go. A British safari park used recent rains to give their North American black bears some unusual enrichment, a swan boat. The Woburn Safari Park in Ridgemont, England, said recent heavy rains caused a lake to form at the bottom of the 13-acre enclosure occupied by 11 bears. Zookeepers placed a pedal-powered swan boat in the water and placed honey and monkey nuts. These monkey nuts inside the vessel to encourage the Bruns to check out the new addition. The safari park shared photos and video to social media of the bears investigating the bird-shaped boat. Keepers and visitors alike were delighted when the bears actually climbed onto the boat to reach their food, the park said on social media. They could be spotted climbing all over, playing with and sniffing the boat with great curiosity. Okay, we gotta watch this video. Black bear's the best. Little music, yeah, to set the mood. Here we go. Little bit of music. I like this. That's awesome. Are you checking this out, Bob? Oh my God. Oh my God. That was awesome. I'm on a boat. Take a good hard look at my motherfucking boat. I enjoyed that. Immensely. All right. Now remember, everybody, you too can contribute to the Grim Gazette if you've got a goofy story, if you've got something that defies explanation, if you've got a clip from a paranormal show or a cryptid channel or something that you want to. There you go. There you go. Thank you. It still works. Facts. If you want a critical look at something, if you want me to give an overall view of what's going on in whatever clip you want to send, remember, you can go to our Discord. We do have a room on the Discord called Grim Gazette, and you can drop your offering, whether it's a news story, whether it's a paranormal TikTok or a paranormal YouTube or what have you. Going ahead and throw it on up there. I would love to have a look at it. Now, remember, it's got to be a short clip. Someone sent me a 20-minute documentary, and I said, I can't cover that. I can't cover that. But if it's a short clip, awesome. We can take a look at it. We can pick it apart, and we can have a good time with it. So for this one, I wanted to go back to something I watched over the weekend with Arelis. This. Thank you. Thank you. Don't you know? You're not going to get my lip again. Come here. Oh, come on. There you go. This is from Paranormal Quest. And I wanted to play this clip because I felt like this was probably one of the best clips I not only saw in this particular investigation, but just in investigating overall. And are you calling me out? No, Forex, I'm not calling you out. Maybe a little bit, but I wanted to share with you all what happens in this clip. This is one of the coolest things that I think is good for anybody involved with paranormal investigation that they should know about. One of the things you hear a lot on the different shows is, yeah, we're doing an investigation and there's a storm coming in, and we all get really excited because, when storms are coming in, that means, the paranormal activity kind of ramps up. But one of the things I remember thinking when I was watching Paranormal Quest, now that I'm actually doing this, I was like, yeah, but No one, and if you ever go back and look at, former episodes of Ghost Hunters in particular, they would get excited whenever there would be a thunderstorm rolling through. And they go, yeah, this is going to be great because paranormal activity always ramps up. But they never explain exactly why it ramps up or what's going on. And I'm just going to let the clip play and we'll talk about it. So I should mention a couple of things. One, the reason why it's called Ghosts and Tornadoes at the Fairfield County Infirmary. They're in, if I remember correctly, they're in Fairfield, Indiana. And where they are, it turns out that the night that they went to investigate, it was a tornado watch, not a tornado warning, a tornado watch. People were actually like on high alert, and you can actually hear the weather. You can hear the weather outside, right? And I'm just going to let the clip play now.
Did they use, can you touch that? Just grab a hold of it so we know that it's you?
So that right there, what you hear in the background, wow. Yeah, that's the weather.
Is really coming down now. Sounds like the wind's picking up too.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, I'm going to go stop on that camera before the power goes out.
Okay.
So we don't lose that clip.
Okay.
Just in case.
You think Catherine. It would... Catherine?
Huh?
You think it would lose the clip if it stopped recording?
I don't know.
Okay.
Catherine buried.
Catherine buried? Mm-hmm. Catherine, are you buried? Outside? Whoa. Thank you, Catherine.
Wow. Thank you.
Wounded.
Now that would seem very promising. I know that would seem extremely promising. But let's just keep watching for a bit.
Wounded.
Wounded.
Where were you wounded and that's how you passed away?
That right there is 100% lightning. So that's how you know, guys.
And this is why I dig Ryan and Dave so much from Paranormal Quest, because they were talking about we're gonna have a really wild night because we've got a tornado watch going on and we also have thunderstorms coming in, right? And I was sitting there watching this going, yeah, but now that I've been doing this, I'm like, does that play into it? I mean, does lightning actually generate electromagnetic fields? Isn't that what creates lightning to begin with? Is just a overly charged electromagnetic field. So I did a quick search online and that was what was pointed out, was that yes, electromagnetic fields tend to ramp up in intensity when there's a lot of lightning. And then, you have that happen, and then this happens immediately after. I think, at least I think it's immediately after.
For all those people out there watching, the look on Miranda's face was...
Monster.
Monster?
Now remember, the app, the GhostTube app, and other apps and other tools that are not EMF reliant, they're fine. But remember, with REM pods are all about the EMF. It's creating its own EMF field, and anything that breaks that EMF field, makes the alarm go off. And of course, if it's touching, if the EMF field is disrupted to the point of where you're actually touching the antenna of a REM pod or a millimeter, it hits its highest note. But let's watch that moment again, and then I'll just let it play.
Where were you wounded and that's how you passed away?
And I will also say this too. I know I lied. I'm going to comment on this. If it were anybody else, they'd probably be like, "Whoa, that was a response. That was a direct response to Miranda." But I love what Ryan says immediately after this. Because Miranda's convinced that is a response to her, and I believe she is Ryan's significant other. And this is what Ryan says to his significant other, which probably breaks her heart.
That right there is 100% lightning.
All right, now I'm going to shut up and just let it play.
Where were you wounded and that's how you passed away?
That right there is 100% lightning. So that's how you know, guys. For all those people out there watching, the look on Miranda's face was...
Monster.
Monster? But when you get
No, Miranda's delightful.
all of them going off at once like that, that's environmental factors, and the fact that it
It's raining.
is storming outside and you had that loud clap of thunder afterwards, that was 100% lightning. It's triggering the REM pods. Can you do something else to show us that you're here? Pull that energy that's setting off our lights. We can see it. We can see the energy. Can you use that?
Where is it?
It's everywhere. It's in the air all around us. Can you use that and push a chair over or knock one of these things over? I tell you what, on that white chair over there, there's a box. Whew, Dave scared the shit out of me.
How are you, Marv?
Last lightning strike must have been close.
Oh yeah, I heard the REM pod go off.
Yeah, all the REM pods went off.
Oh, they did.
Okay, but the box on the yep, there's another one.
And then
See
there's
how
the
those
thunder.
things light up like that? You can make them do it too.
I want to say it's here that Ryan suggests, let's shut down the REM pods.
So this just goes to show you that
It's right here.
investigating in a lightning storm is not always ideal. As creepy as it is to be in a lightning storm, you also have the factors of the lightning setting off your equipment makes it very difficult. It causes environmental contamination that could affect the investigation. So we're going to have to basically rely on our video, our audio, and our pieces of equipment that are motion activated rather than electrically activated because of this storm.
So that's just a fantastic endorsement for the approach that I think Paranormal Quest takes this. When there is any kind of weather like that in the air, like a thunderstorm or some type of a storm front is moving through, it does put a little more energy into the air. And the theory is
You better settle down over there. I'm going to come talk to you.
Thank you, Benedict. And the theory is that yes, it gives more energy for spiritual entities to draw power from, and makes it easier for them to manifest and do different things. Now, I would argue that is true because when we were at Crescent SCI, there was this nor'easter that was blowing through, or at least the remnants of it. And you could feel, when you went into some of these buildings, you could really feel the vibe. Now, the REM pod wasn't going off as much. It was going off like nuts in solitary. But I don't think, there was no lightning in the air. There was nothing, I think, that would have made the REM pod go off that intensely. Plus, we were in solitary, which meant thicker walls. It really was. It was there was a heaviness in there, and so I don't accredit the nor'easter to the vibe of Crescent so much as I accredit Crescent to that vibe. But in this case, they've got thunder and lightning. And the other thing now that I think about it, the ghost hunters, taps rarely, I don't think ever, used REM pods. I think they had a brief dance with REM pods, and they backed off of them for some reason. It might have had a lot to do with the fact that I know that they use walkies a lot. And you know from last week's, you know about how I, or not last week's, but 2 weeks ago, issue 7, you know about how I feel about walkies when it comes to them being near REM pods. But what I really like about Ryan and Dave is that they're addressing it. They are addressing this issue of we're in the middle of a thunderstorm. There's lightning going off, and it's affecting our EMF driven equipment. So kudos to you guys. Kudos to you guys. I love these guys. Again, link is in the description below. You'll see it there. It's Paranormal Quest, and these guys are great. Now, I will say one quick criticism of Paranormal Quest, and it's the device that you see Ryan has precariously balanced on the chair. That's a Melmeter. I have a Melmeter. Those things are about $250, and he is tempting whatever remains to tip that thing over. That's an expensive piece of kit, Ryan. It comes with a kickstand. Put out the kickstand, man. Put out the kickstand, and then dare it to tip over. But I'm serious, man. I'm serious. Don't tempt it, and don't precariously balance that thing. That's an expensive piece of gear. So we're going to take a break before we get to part 2. And in part 2, we're going to do a deep dive into a clip from a show that I found out about from another show. And I want to get a closer look with you all tonight in studio because I want to see it. Pip sees it. I don't quite see it. And you'll see what I mean when we get to the actual clip. But right now, if you haven't taken your meds, please take your meds. If you haven't hydrated, for the love of God, hydrate, because I'm dying up here, so I know you got to be dying up there too. Now, granted, you may not be talking as much as I am, but that's okay too. You are watching issue 9, part 1 of the Grim Gazette, and it comes to you live every Tuesday night here on Twitch, and then we do a replay edited for your pleasure over on YouTube, so you can go ahead and check that out as well. And we've also got the weekend coming up, the OSI Weekend, where we are going to be in Clifton Forge, Virginia for most of this weekend. But on the 12th, on that Friday night, we will be watching with you live the launch of season 3 of Old Spirits. That's the show that Phil and I put together of all of our our paranormal adventures, if you will. And that's going to be happening. That premiere is happening on the 12th. Then on the 13th, on April 13th, we will be getting together with Resonant Moon, one of our mods of the most. And Resonant Moon will be taking us to the historic Masonic Theater of Clifton Forge, Virginia. And that's going to be simulcast. That's going to be simulcast on both Twitch and YouTube. Then we will jump over to Sunday. And Sunday, we will be home, and I will be hopping on here. And I think I will probably do a multi-stream again, both on Twitch and on YouTube. And we will do a post-mortem breakdown of the entire weekend. I want to know what you thought. I want to know if you liked stuff, if you didn't like stuff. What can we do to improve the overall OSI experience when we do stuff live? That kind of stuff means a lot to me. I want to make sure that whatever we bring here, we're doing it right. You know what I mean? So with that said, I will see you all after a brief break. Take care of yourselves, and let's take 10, okay? Be right back.